What's that player that got injured? Say it nicely, man.
Oh, Merry Tsimikas, everybody. Merry Tsimikas.
There we go. Merry Christmas, everybody. Hope you're having a good FPL
Holiday
Christmas
season,
fest.
yeah. Hopefully
Hope,
Santa
hope,
brought you an abundance of points and not
yeah,
many
hopefully you,
negative goals.
yeah, hopefully you weren't naughty and captained the wrong player because you listened to me. That's why.
uh, but this is our episode 19 of Game Week 19. We've been doing this for 19 weeks. It's quite an achievement. Thank you guys that have been listening, viewing, and subscribing. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe. We're on 27. If we can get 30 before the end of the year, um, we'll just be happy. We can't really give anything away. So, but let's get into it. Talk to us, Mike. What are your thoughts?
Yeah,
Should we talk about the
just
captains last week? Like what happened there?
yeah, before we start with that, I just like to say
Oh,
so everybody who's listening to this knows.
yes, yes.
Okay, there's a quick turnaround here. We just came out of a Chelsea Christmas Eve defeat. We had a day before Christmas Eve, a whole lot of games, and then now we're going into like a quick turnaround Tuesday, right?
Today's the only
Boxing Day
day. Yeah,
matches.
today's the only break. There'll
So
be changes, and then tomorrow lunchtime, Boxing Day lunchtime, I think the games start.
So it's good. So it's a tight turnaround. So that's
Mm.
why we're here. We're here to help you. We spend in our Christmas Eve, Christmas
Talking to
Day,
you.
Christmas night. We spend time with our loyal viewers and all those new people out there who don't celebrate Christmas because you only celebrate FPL. So yeah, we're here for
There
you,
we go.
right?
There we
Right. You
go.
want to start talking about the downfall of captains?
I mean, look, all the signs pointed to Ollie Watkins scoring a hat trick this past game week. I mean, it's Sheffield away, Sheffield at home, sorry, home for Aston Villa, and Chelsea managed to score goals against them, as we said in the pod last week, and Aston Villa couldn't manage to do much. Sheffield, fair play to them. The annoying thing for me is that my first position sub, Cameron Archer, did better than my first position striker. I guess you live and
Was
learn.
also your captain.
Who was also my captain. So
I had a feeling that Aston Villa were going to struggle, and I think one thing that veteran FPL players will know is that this period of time is full of fixture congestion.
mm,
In other words, players are tired, players are feeling the season, as
yeah,
we all are. You know, who's got kids, who's buying presents, you know, who's doing all these things at home, their home life, end of the year, everybody's in a festive mood. So it plays a psychological
yeah,
role.
no, for sure it does.
It ends up throwing up some strange results. And
hmm
Aston Villa are a hard-working team, but they're not the finished article yet.
Yeah,
And Sheffield are fighting for their lives down there,
yeah. So they
right?
need to. They had to get points from that game. You're right.
In typical Sheffield, they'll lose to Chelsea but beat Aston Villa.
It's
That's how the season we're
it's
having.
true. It's true. It is like that because the same breath, a Crystal Palace that draws against Man City, the goes and then draws against Brighton when you would have them favourites. But nevertheless, at least they're getting points, Crystal Palace as well. But anyway, so the captain was a bit of that. You, however, didn't captain Watkins like the rest of us. You captained Son.
Yeah, and
It
there's a
paid
reason
off to
for
a
that.
point.
Yeah, it
Tell us
got
the
me a little
reason.
bit ahead. Here's the thing about Sun. I know he blanked the week before. I also was unsure whether Richarlison was gonna start, but if you watch that Spurs game, Spurs are playing some of the most
Best football.
attractive football.
Yeah,
Like
in the
I'm
league.
enjoying.
Yeah,
As a Chelsea supporter, I'm watching Spurs and I'm jealous,
yeah,
okay?
yeah,
Because of the way they play. It's attacking. I think Spurs have failed to not score at home this season.
yeah.
Or no, they might have failed to not score at all. Every match they played in, they've scored, right?
Mm.
So
No, they have.
is Spurs likely is Spurs likely to score a goal? Yes. And if Son is going to be in that team, then
Mm.
he's likely to either assist or score.
Yeah.
And that's what. Why didn't you tell us your little
Yeah.
trick you
So
pulled?
staying on the Spurs trade, I thought to myself, Gordon's been was announced to be doubtful, probably not going to start. And I thought to myself, well, I should probably get rid of him to try and keep up with the pack. Because many people didn't think about it. I think a lot of people just slept on it and put Gordon in hoping for a sub. Definitely in our league. But the move that actually paid off for me was a Richarlison. So I thought, what's the next cheapest way into Spurs? Richarlison. Richarlison's playing in a midfield position on FPL, but playing as a number 9 for Spurs in real life. as you know, forwards the midfielders that play out of position. That was the same with Son earlier. It's a must have. I brought him in, and he managed to nip a goal. He's now got 4 goals in his last 3 games. So man's on form, man's cooking. So I was very happy with that move.
Are you telling me you are already preempting the AFCON and Asian Cup
Team
deficits by saying that the perfect replacement for Son
is
or
Richarlison.
Salah at least is to have Richarlison in there? Because if we
Because
combine what we both said,
exactly,
attacking team, he's
exactly.
playing out of position, and now he's in form with Son not being there.
It's something to look at.
Richarlison's
And
looking
also,
tasty.
Maddison's coming back. So maybe Richarlison keeps getting that service. It depends if Postecoglou moves him out wide, but I don't think so. I think Richarlison naturally was always a number 9. Even for Brazil, he plays number 9. So definitely a player to look out for. To stay on Spurs quickly, I wanted to say, for those that haven't brought in Pedro Porro yet,
He's a must-have.
you have to. And if you can't afford him, Destiny Udogie is probably your next best bet.
But it's destiny.
It's also destiny, though.
You bring in Pedro Porro.
What's
Look,
your destiny? You really need to bring Pedro Porro in. Even though he blanked this past game week, man's on fire. He plays. He's in the box. He's doing the crosses. He's even in inverted running. Underlapping is the word I was looking for.
So if you analyze how Spurs play, because Richarlison is now the striker, what happened in these games is that Son, even though he's the winger, Son naturally gets pulled through the center, right?
Yeah, almost like a false 9 or a 10 kind of a position.
Yeah. When Son takes up that position, Pedro Porro is on the wing.
Can play left wing.
So I implore you, you can bring Pedro Porro in. His price can go up because it's not going to affect us because we already have him.
But based off what we've just said about Spurs' attacking mindset, it's a must. Because the same thing is going to happen. Son will leave, Maddison will be the 10, but who's their replacement winger? I'm not too sure. I must check. But he won't play as wide. He'll still keep Porro playing out wide because Porro's been doing what Porro's been doing. So
he's like Zorro, but he's Porro.
Pedro Zorro, the Porro. But it's true. So I think those Richarlison, Pedro Porro, Son, Maddison, actually, I would say look out for those players. Even Kulusevski, we'll have to see how he develops over the coming weeks into when Son leaves. But yeah, definitely players to look out for Spurs.
Yeah, you got to keep your eye on Spurs. Now, speaking on must-haves, I'm going to ask you a question.
Brennan Johnson, that was his name. Sorry, Brennan Johnson. Yeah.
I'm going to ask you 2 questions.
Talk to me.
Okay. We're talking about must-haves. Is Trent Alexander-Arnold a must-have? And is Trent the better pick for over Trippier for the next while? Foreseeable future of fixtures and form.
From game week 12, he has hauled. From game week 12. I wish I didn't sleep on him and I went to him over Trippier when I made the move to Trippier when everyone was on the Trippier train. I'm going to just read it out so you have an idea. From game week 12 to now, 7, 8, 13, 12, 4, 9, 5. He's got assists in 3 of those last games and goals in 2 of them, which means he's made 5 contributions over the last 5 weeks. How can you not have him in your team? How can you not?
He's expensive. That's the
and he's
problem.
Going up 8.3. The question is he better than who? Like, do I take Saka out for Trent? Like, these are the questions. Because in my mind, I'm thinking 8 million. Okay, he's got to be taking out a midfielder. You have to drop a midfielder for him. You know, you can't, unless you have Trippier and you have some funds, but then you get into Haaland territory if you might want to bring him back, so be careful. You might need to drop maybe a Saka.
Just hold up here, Nate the Great.
We're going back a step because I messaged you earlier.
Everything he touches turns to gold. So I'm going to ask you this question. I asked you, is Trent a must-have? You said yes. Your answer is Saka is a must-not.
I wouldn't say must-not, but at this point, I'm not convinced anymore. I think it's more your Gabriels and your Odegaards.
Havertz is even scoring. I think if I was going to pick anybody out of that team besides Saka, it's probably Odegaard because he shares penalty duties.
The thing that's holding me onto Saka for now, just to not make a move, is the 4 green FDRs coming up until the new end of Jan. That means nothing. That means absolutely nothing.
But Arsenal are doing well though.
They are. So the thing is, it can happen. He's just been blanking for the last 3 weeks. But we've also said that Saka isn't the. He's not a fancy player. He just does the dirty work. So he'll get some points sometimes. But at 9 mil, I might just cash out on him. Definitely something to think about because I brought him in when Saka was only 8.5 and he's now at 9 mil. So I'll get an 8.9 payout for the man. So I might just do that. That's a lot of money that I can get. But I have to be comfortable with the decision that I'm not going to bring in him anytime soon. Which leads me to my thought of maybe I go Trippier for Trent and then maybe downgrade if I have some funds to Saka to maybe Odegaard. Martellini or something else like that. I don't know. I have to think about it.
Yeah, I'm scared to let go of Starboy, but in the new year, if we're
Mm.
gonna be trying to balance all of these new players out, with Salah being gone and Son being gone, you have to really think about how you spread that money out. Haaland will become. Let's talk about Haaland. What do you think?
Let me tell you my plan.
When do you bring in Haaland? That's what I want to know.
That
When do you bring in Haaland?
I'm,
Everyone's asking the same question. Is he playing next week? And
mm.
when do you bring him in?
The simple answer is you bring in Haaland when Pep says Haaland will play. I think that's what you go off. Because if Pep says Haaland's fit, Haaland will start. City have been struggling. They're going to think they need Haaland. KDB's on his way back. Alfred and Batman are about to be joined up again. Robin in Julian Alvarez is just, I don't know what Robin's doing. Alvarez is just sitting on the sidelines for a bit. But anyway, what I want to say is my plan for Haaland is I want to wait for Pep's news. It won't be this week. I don't think he'll play this week. It's too short of a quick turnaround. Next week, I want to see what he says because I'm willing to take a -4 hit to bring Haaland back in. And I think if you do bring Haaland back in, it's unfortunate he'll miss the Everton game, but then they've got Sheffield at home, which is a
But is it
big scoring game.
unfortunate?
That,
Because
that, that
Everton
Haaland's
at
missing.
home is
No,
a
maybe
tough
not.
game.
Maybe it's easier for managers because now you don't have to determine captain. You can probably just go for your Solankes or your Salas. So maybe it's
Hey, this
easier.
man is jumping the gun here.
Let me backtrack.
What
Sorry, backtrack, but quickly. Let me rein it back. So Haaland. So my plan is to bring him in as soon as Pep says he's fit. And I'm making sure that I have enough funds in the bank to fund that move. And like I said, I'm willing to take a -4. I think a lot of managers will be scrambling or might be playing wildcards to fit him in. Or you have to look for other strikers if you can't afford him. Maybe it's Trent.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a wait one more week,
Mm,
and then if you get to January 1st, you have a wild card to rebalance your team if
yeah.
you're not smart, like Mr. Gold Touch over there, who's balanced his team out, has the funds to bring
Yeah.
Haaland in yesterday. Um,
I'd just like to say, after the Newcastle game, City have a run of they've got Burnley at home after the Newcastle game, which is 2 weeks from now, and then they go away to Brentford, but then they're back home against Everton again. So maybe for a
the-
Jan
can
move.
can I just take this opportunity to have a shout out to our FPL mini league? There was this guy, okay? He was suffering in the mid tables. He was groping at those European places. And all of a sudden, he's now first in the league. Can you
Oh,
tell us this man's name?
thank you, guys, thank you. I'll take my Ballon d'Or, guys. I'm first. I've done it. Christmas is great because I'm first. Nah, it's not for everyone else, just for me.
Can you give me one
It's
move that you would say summed up how you went from, like, 6, 7,
oh well, I was
8
12th
and
and then
jumped up?
7th and then now I've jumped. Yeah,
What is the one move you were like, that's where I want it. That's where I get
Jared
out.
Bowen. Jared Bowen. That's where I wanted, without a doubt. He got me. I brought him in after the Crystal Palace draw when he started, when no one else would have thought to bring him in because he didn't do anything. But he played the full 90 minutes. So I brought him in. He goes to Spurs, he gets a goal. Then he blanks, but then he goes to Wolves, gets a goal. And yesterday or 2 days ago, gets a goal. So, and that's my Son replacement. And Son may have hauled once now this past week, but the last 2 weeks he blanks, if I'm not mistaken. So Bowen's been more consistent for me, and that plan has worked out. It could have also not, but it did, and I'm happy for
I
it.
think I think two things there. I think there were times when Bowen was blanking, but you didn't give in. You trusted your plan.
Mm,
And I
mm.
think that FPL managers out there must realize that
Stick to a
sometimes you
process,
just
yeah.
have to trust your judgment and trust your plan over 3 weeks rather than like
A week
make a
or
mistake.
two, yeah.
Like for example, I'll give you my own example because I'm still languishing mid-table there. I brought in cash like an idiot because he got suspended. Okay, like kicking myself. But if I take my own advice and Nathan's uh, example, I'm not gonna send cash out this week. I should hold him because I brought him in for a reason. Good
Exactly.
fixtures,
Exactly.
likely to play.
I even said to you, I
Hold
might
him.
even bring in cash because of the fixtures that are coming up, and he's playing again. So it's not the worst pick. It's just unfortunate, and you don't really need him to play this week. It's kind of a blessing because they're playing against United at United. So it might not be the worst thing that you don't have cash playing this week. So,
And you know exactly what Bowen did to United. Yeah, he opened them up.
Bowen made some mince meat with United there.
He cut
Um,
them up. It was other
well,
levels.
on your one quickly, I'll piggyback off your mistake. I did the Trippier train, and I shouldn't have. I should have trusted my process without having Trippier. Then the day I bring him in, he blanks that week and then he goes off with the card and then he's suspended. So it's like, it's definitely, that was my fault. So don't be too quick to jump on the parade of other people and what they have. Figure out what you want for your team and then come up with a plan. For example, if you want Haaland, find a way to afford Haaland without taking a wild card. If you want to keep Salah, let's talk about that. Perfect segue. What do we do with Salah and Son when they go to AFCON and to Asia Cup?
In my opinion, it's too much money to hold. You got to rebalance your team and bring them back in. It's too much money,
I was going to say
especially
the
like
opposite.
I know, but for
Let's
me,
talk about
I
it then.
have both of them. You have only one. Now, for me, I have both.
Yeah, you
That money is a lot of money to keep on your bench.
for like 2-3
Uh,
weeks. Yeah.
it's and you know the better those teams do in those tournaments, the longer they stay out. And even when they come back, who's to say they don't pick up an injury? So for
Mm.
me, like take your money, invest it back into Haaland and Watkins,
Do you
Solanke.
do you downgrade Son to Bowen when he goes to
Well,
AFCON?
I downgrade Salah to Bowen. I downgrade Son to Richarlison because Nate the
Ah,
Great
that's
led
true.
the way.
That's true. The Richarlison pick, yeah. Um, I I would say Bowen's on that same level. If not Bowen, maybe Kudus. 'Cause Kudus is still firing. Like,
Kudus is fire,
kudos to him.
but South African slang, yeah. But Bowen is Kudus is fire, but Bowen is consistent.
Mm.
Um, and so, but Kudus is cheaper,
You
so I
could
think it
downgrade. You
depends on
could
your price
downgrade
point.
Saka as well to Bowen if you don't have both of them as well. I wanted to
I
say
don't.
I might actually end up holding Salah though because I bought him in at 12.5 and he's now 13.3. It's also, I'm thinking, can I, because, but this is me because I've balanced my team out now. I had to take a few negatives to do this. I don't know if I can ever afford to bring Salah back in and Haaland. It's just too expensive.
I think there's a way because there's so many performing mid players, like mid price
Mid level
players.
mid players. Yeah, yeah.
So I think there's a way, but what's the reality is more seriously is I'm not going to be able to afford a Trent, Salah,
Haaland,
and Son
Son.
and
Oh yes,
Haaland.
yes, yeah.
Like you're gonna
You
have to
can't.
make some sacrifices, right? And that
That
sacrifice
comes
is
down
gonna
to your
be
picks and your plan. Yeah, it comes down to the manager.
one, basically one premium midfielder. You can't have both. I still think you can have Haaland, but you're not gonna be able to have Watkins there,
True.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, it's okay because that pivots directly to the next thing I want to ask you: is everybody and their mother captaining Solanke this week? Who are you going to captain? Who should be captain? Who's the captain pick? Is the
We spoke
obvious
about
pick of Solanke?
this in our group, and we said Mr. Consistent, and if we just captain Mr. Consistent, so I think I might captain Salah.
You're gonna just sit and forget?
How often is it that a player scores a hat trick and then goes again and scores another hat trick or another 2 goals? Very rare in this football in FPL. Very rare. It's
But
possible, Haaland, if you're a robot, but it happens.
he's
But
playing a Fulham at home. Fulham did not look good this week, and and this is Bournemouth at home, and Bournemouth are in form, and they had the fixture, and Solanke's in form. Like everything is shouting,
it's
captain
tough.
me.
It's for me, and it's for me. It's tough. I don't know. I'm leaning towards Salah because it's safe. But I'll tell you now, we put a poll on X. You check any FPL content creators poll, it's going to be 75, 80% Solanke. And I mean, if you look at Solanke in your team, if you open the app and look at him, it says FUL capital letters in brackets H. Fulham at home. How can you not captain him?
I
It's
would
hard. I don't
say
know. I don't know what I'm going to do.
I would say it boils down to your position and what you want out of the game week. For you,
See, now I'm
you
at the top
first
now.
your
Yeah.
money leg. So you play it safe and you captain Haaland, you're going to get the points for Solanke whether he hauls or not. For me, I need to captain Solanke
To catch up.
because if he hauls, I might jump on you, right?
Mm.
And you taking the safer route. So it also depends on where you are in the league. But I think both of those choices, would we say those are our two best choices
Yeah,
for captain?
I think
Is
so.
there a third?
Um,
Not Watkins.
no, Trent
This guy. Trent. We've been speaking about this in this group. Trent is lately is as consistent, if not more consistent
and
than
Salah.
Salah.
Bro, he's
Right.
getting assists. He's scoring goals. He's getting clean sheets. Do you
Can
think?
we
I think
shout
I
out?
don't. Hey, oh, Ridwan,
Can we?
standard
Yeah, we shouted one. This
again.
is he's the you captain
He
Trent,
started this
hands
this
down.
unstoppable train of Trent. Trent the train or Trippier the train, which is I think Trent the train sounds better. Trent the train.
Trippier's train got derailed. That thing got robbed.
Polar Express vibes. No, like the thing is, you can also look at it because it's also Burnley still, and think about it this way: Pool are probably likely to maybe not concede against Burnley. I know Burnley struggle to score goals. You could have a clean sheet. Remember, a clean sheet for a defender is 6 points, so you're already getting 12 for just a clean sheet. He doesn't have to do much to get points as a defender. Something maybe slept on. Um,
I also think that if this was 4 or 5 seasons ago, or 8 seasons ago, and any team was playing Burnley, we would have captained our Luis Suarez. We would have captained
yeah,
our
true.
Agueros against them. This is the game that Liverpool scores easy 5-0
Mhm.
and wins this game, right? So even though it's away, this is also a game that I feel like Burnley supporters and players might go, we already know we're going to lose this game psychologically. It's not one that they've marked as for our survival, right?
True.
So they're gonna play a low block, and Liverpool have not seem to struggle against low blocks like teams like Chelsea have, where they
Mm.
can't break them down. Salah will find a way through, and if he doesn't, Trent will overlap with him. And Trent
I
has a
think
mean free kick.
I think it's I think it's Saka versus West Ham at home is a shout. Maybe this is the time that he starts putting points, but we've just discussed maybe not. So I think it's a bit of a risk. Um, Cole Palmer would have been a very strong contender for captaincy this week had he not have got himself suspended because he's playing against Crystal Palace at Stamford Bridge.
Can I tell
Little
you
you
the real
fool, you
reason?
foolish man.
If you listened to the podcast last week, you already know why he got suspended. Because he didn't get suspended for making a yellow card tackle. He got suspended because he kicked the ball away, and he did it on purpose. Do you want to know why? Because he wanted Christmas off. Okay, so he
Shout
took
out
his
to
Christmas
Mikal
leave.
for explaining four yellow cards problem over the festive season, and then also him going and bringing in Cash, who was on four yellow cards. You knew it was coming, man. You knew it was coming.
Yeah,
You knew it was coming.
I I
Um,
I got had by myself, but yeah. So I think you are right. I think we're gonna sit here next week and we're gonna go Salah and Trent, and I think you might have just helped me answer my question because I want to catch you, but I'd also need to be safe. Is Trent the safer pick then? Because he's safer than Solanke, but
mm.
he's also more. He has the opportunity to be a differential pick over Salah.
I like both teams because I'll be jealous that you have Trent, but I have Haaland. But I think I want Trent, but I also want Haaland. But you can't really. So my team's going to be leaning more towards either Haaland or a Trent pick. I'm definitely getting rid of Trippier. I would rather play Sven Botman or even Livramento over Trippier. Get a
I
cheap
don't know what to
Newcastle
tell.
in, but I don't know. I don't think
I
Trippier.
don't know what to tell you about Trippier. I know that you suffered over the last couple of weeks with him, but this seems like either a game week to rest him or he kicks on. But I think either way, I think you need to part with him because he's keeping you up at
Yeah,
night.
well, I'm definitely holding him for this Forest game. This will be the last week that he gets for me because then he's got Liverpool
Okay.
and City, so he's definitely been
Yeah.
held there.
Even if he holds this week, I feel like At least you got something out of him
Yeah.
before you send him on his way. But yeah, can we just spend a second to say that, and this is Nate came up with this advice in the week, and it proved to be right because even though Chelsea are on another level of ridiculous rubbish, Nkunku at least scored, making him a standout forward pick right now.
Yeah.
For in terms of just like a shock value forward who
He
comes in.
came off the bench, scores a goal in 30 minutes, has a half an hour to run, scores a goal in that time. Um,
He's a goal
unfortunately,
scorer.
unfortunately for Chelsea, just a little bit of a Chelsea rant while the ref blows his whistle. We're out of time because we're nearly out of time. Nkunku is the man to do it with Chelsea. It's Palmer, but Nkunku outshines Palmer now. And Nkunku is the reason we bought him for a striker, and he's why we got him, because he can score goals.
And Sterling and Palmer are both suspended for this next game.
So that's a Mudryk, that's an Nkunku, that's a Madueke, that's a Conor Gallagher as a 10, and then Ugochukwu and Caicedo. I'm very surprised we dropped Enzo. I think he's sick though. I don't know. Another story.
He's got a groin injury, I think. Or
Good
a
for him.
hernia.
Let him go on break. We don't
Yeah.
really miss him because we were shit without him anyway. we with him and without him, we're just bad. That's our Chelsea 2 cents. Let us know if you want a Chelsea podcast, because it's something we're seriously considering about how much stuff we have to say about this club. We'll talk about it in a year. But anyway, so it's definitely a player to watch. UFPL managers need to chill out. All right, it's Christmas. Spend time with your family. Talk to your friends. Stop making players' price rises so quickly. I was chatting to Mike yesterday. I'm like, yeah, and Nkunku's the pick, Mike. We should look at him. Oh, he's already gone up. It's crazy. It's crazy. And he's a
You know
2%
what?
own, so it's just going to climb.
Can I tell you how you're being contradictory? Because you the reason the players are
I
going up
know.
because
I
you're making a
told everyone to
podcast.
bring flipping a Nkunku. It's so true. But he's down from 7.5, which is his base price, at 7.3. So in my mind, you can wait until 7.5 because that's his base price, unless you really need the money. But he is also a pick to look for if you're going to be downgrading Son and Salah and maybe putting in Haaland and Solanke. Maybe you drop Watkins for Nkunku. Maybe you drop Solanke for Nkunku. I think your formation in your team is going to change to a 3 at the back, a 4 in the middle, and a 3 in the front. I think 3 in the
Yeah.
front is going to be the way for January, February.
And I was just commenting to Nate that we're starting to make these changes instinctively to preempt these price drops.
Mm.
For example, I took out Tsimikas for Gabriel, and you've taken out Anderson for.
Anderson for Gabriel, because they were both 4.9 for me,
Yeah.
and
No, we both
I could
did.
afford the drop for Tsimikas
Yeah.
without losing yet.
But either way, we both avoided a price drop there. But we also did it with one eye on it, but at the same time we have a feel for it.
Mm.
So there is really good idea to keep wait for transfers. But this was a unique case because it's Christmas, it's a short turnaround, and the managers are trigger happy.
No, they are.
So
They
and
are.
we every 0.1 million is going to count when it comes to rebalancing your team for Haaland in the
Mm.
coming weeks. So I would suggest like take a good look at players who are out. Like Tsimikas, you, I would suggest even for you, Nate, to keep ahead of the news on him
Mm.
injury
Mm.
because there's talk about him being out for 3 weeks, but there's talk of him being out up for 3 months, right?
Mm. Mm.
Once we don't know, too dangerous for me. And I know that they have a ready replacement, and I think Gomez plays there sometimes.
So yeah, it's definitely a point to make sure. Find yourself a price rising app, a predictor. None of them can tell you what's going to happen, but they all help to give you some sort of indication. There's a few good ones out there. Follow someone on X. There's a few good ones there as well. I'm just going to shout out my last snippet for the pod that Gabriel versus Anderson, ladies and gentlemen, Gabriel's triumphant, and I think that he needs to give me a thanks for that because he scored a goal. And
He scored a goal purely because Nate told him to. Okay,
I should
Nate
have
was
swapped
saying,
him then and there. I should have, but I don't listen to myself, which we should maybe start
I'll
doing.
be, and I'll end with this, and I'll say, I actually don't like that I brought in Gabriel. Here's why: because Gabriel is not a wing back, he's not a full back, he's a centre back, and centre backs luckily score goals from set pieces, but they're not the most creative players. You're bringing in a centre back because his price is right and his fixtures are
Good.
clean sheet worthy,
Yeah.
right? Clearly Nate and I both believe that Arsenal are going to go on a run of clean sheets. They're going to go on a run of good defense, solid defending, because Gabriel's not. We don't have Gabriel for his attacking threat. We have him for his clean sheets and his
For sure.
price.
Yeah.
If we were talking about players that there are some fullbacks at Arsenal and there's even Saliba, but Gabriel's price is what made him
Yeah.
the
I think
best pick.
if you go Saliba, you'd like ruling out your options for Haaland at all and stuff
Or
like that.
Trent.
And Trent, yeah. So Gabriel's the pick. And he's still at 4.9. So jump on him.
Yeah, make him 5.
But
I don't like
we've
these
jumped on him, so you guys
0.9s.
can jump on him. You can raise his price, please. I would like some
It's
profit
safe
now.
now.
Go ahead. Merry Christmas. Cool, but that's all we have time for before the ref starts giving us yellow cards and kicking us off the field. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a wonderful Christmas and a great Boxing Day to recover. We hope for our sakes and your sakes that the points come thick and fast as well as the fixtures. And we will see you potentially later in the week for a New Year's podcast because the games are just coming like that.
And maybe even, if Nate will allow us, to do if you were going to wildcard, what team would you make?
I think we need a wildcard draft to kick off the new year with 2024 wildcard draft.
Can you taste that spice?
That Indian masala. For those that have made it to the end of the pod. Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe on the YouTube channel. Follow us on Spotify if you would like, if that is your preferred method of content intake. Take care. Enjoy Christmas, and we'll see you again.
Merry Christmas, guys. Merry Christmas.